Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to build interactive web app using Solara. So Solara is a new Python package, a framework that you can use to build interactive web app. So if you go to, this is the GitHub webpage and you can take a look. This is relatively new, but it's very powerful. I have only been using this for about a week and I really like it. So this is why I want to introduce you, see how you can utilize some of these open source packages to build interactive web app and deploy on Hugging Face or other cloud providers. And I'd like to give a shout out to its core developer, Martin Bredev. And she has done lots of work and also provide very comprehensive documentation about the package. You're welcome to check out this webpage. And this is the webpage actually is running using Solara, so it's very scalable and it's very responsive. That you can, it has a lot of examples. So later I'm going to show you how you can utilize some of the examples. So you can check out the API, also a lot of user cases. And so what specifically for this video, we're going to use IPyLib, and it's very simple and straightforward. If you already use IPy it's very easy to get started, and I'm going to show you step by step how you can build apps. So for this one, I'm going to show you like this. So this is the app that I created a couple days ago, and it's built on top Solara and deploy on Hugging Face. So you can check out the homepage, and here some of the menus here. For example, leaf map. So it's a package that I develop and allows you to interact with the map. For example, you can change different base map layers if you like. And so here, for example, it's all interactive. So what you do with the map, it can be used to do further things. Unlike other Python packages, it's only like one way. So once the map is displayed, it's very difficult to get the information out. For example, if you click your mouse, you want to get the coordinates, it's just not possible. So Solar is built on top of IPy. It's very powerful, very flexible, and it's very scalable. And this is why I really like it, and it has become my favorite Python package for building web apps. So besides LeafMap, it also supports Gmap. If you're an Google Earth Engine user, you might also like this. So here, these are all Earth Engine data layers. You can turn data layer on and off. You can also interact with the app, the data. So if you click your mouse on the map, it's going to get your coordinates, and then it's going to send the coordinates to Google Earth Engine servers, do the computation, and then return the result. So you can see, right, you can get pixel values. You can also look at the attribute, the object attributes if you want. So here, for example, click this one, you can see the properties, basically the attribute table of each features. And it's very nice. I have been trying to do something like this for a couple years, but it's just not possible now with Solara. You can do it pretty easy. And as you can see here, this is just also the similar Gmap interface. You don't need to do any additional add any additional component. Of course you can, but it's very easy to get started. You can also do Mapbox. Right now this is not fully supported yet. You see it's not full width, but if you resize, it's going to show you the globe, and really nice. So this is using Mapbox. You need to have an API key to use Mapbox. I will show you how to do that. Also Cesium. So this is also for building 3D applications. It's very powerful, and this is using JavaScript. So the package is Map Widget under the hood is using these JavaScript libraries, and then render that using Python. Also Matlibre. So this is an alternative to Mapbox, but it's open source. So again, resize, and then you want to see the full map. It can also have interactivity. I just haven't added functionality yet, but in the future you should be able to, for example, click your mouse, get the coordinates, and then do something else. Also open layers, IPyLib, and you can just use LeafMap. So LeafMap built on top of IPyLib, but it has a lot of interactive functionality, allows you to do the compute or do data visualization with vector data and raster data. And also if you zoom in, right, zoom in, zoom out, lower left corner here is going to show you it's being updated. So this is very important. This is why we want some bidirectional communication when you interact with the map, we want to get the user interaction and then do something else. So this is why I really like this one, because in the past it was not possible with other packages. Okay, so this the demo I want to show you. So next I'm going to show you step by step how to get started, how do you build your interactive web app. And so there are two ways to get started. So the easy way would be you just go to my space. So this is called Solara Geospatial, and you can see here is this is the one that I built on top Solara, and it already has all the files. So you can just go to this one, click clone. Or duplicate this space. So if you duplicate this space to your account, you have all the files. Of course, you're welcome to get start from scratch. So if you go to new space, and then here you give your name and then the license. So for example, I'm going to use the MIT license, and I can do Solara demo or whatever name you like. So in this case, you need to choose a Docker file. You cannot use Streamlit or Gradio. So these are some other Python packages for building web apps, but it's not very good for Geospatial because it's using the volume library, and it's one-way street. You cannot really get coordinates or user interaction from the map. So that's why I want to use Solara here, and then click blank. And so this one here, you're going to select CPU, 16 gigabyte is free. So, and then just create space. So this is you're going to take some time because you need to create a Docker file, and I would recommend you just duplicate this one to your space. So the link is also in the description. If you click this one, the three dots, and then duplicate this space, then select the name. So for example, here I'm going to use Solara demo, and then visibility public. Select this one, 16 gigabyte is all free. And so this is where if you already even want to use some of those Google Engine, MacBooks, or Cesium, you can add your token and then paste it in here. If you don't worry, you don't need it. You can just use diffmap and ipyleaflet. Then just click duplicate space. It should take only a couple seconds. It's already done. Now it's actually building the web app, and you can see this is the progress that it is building. If you click this one, files, use all the files actually come from my space, and now you have all of the stuff in here. And what you can do is that you can clone this repository to computer, then you can make changes. But you can wait this one to be done, and then you can already see the web app. But we want to make some changes so that you can test the web app on your local computer, and then you can push to Hugging Face. So click these three dots and then clone repository. So click this one, and it's going to show you here how to use this. And I would just recommend just copy this one, git clone. Okay, you don't really need the LFS. And then come to your computer. You can open using any terminal or git, and then just Control V, hit enter. All right, so now we have the repo on our computer. Then you can open this one using Visual Studio Code. So here, this is where the package, the repo, and if you look at the Docker file, it's pretty simple and straightforward. So we use the Jupyter-based Docker container and then Docker image, and then we install the packages. So for you, if you want to use it for your own applications, you can change something here. For example, diffmap, GeoPandas, local time server. So those are for displaying raster data. This one for vector data. This one for mapping. And make sure that you have this. Otherwise, you might not be able to, when you need to make changes to the Docker file, it might not be possible. So just basically what you need to change, if you want, you can change this. And then the requirement.txt. So we install the requirement.txt. Of course, you can install all the packages if they're all available on Contentforce. I would recommend that you put in here. For some of the packages that are not available on Contentforce, then you want to install using pip. So this is where I also list some of the libraries in here. These are Solara right now is not available on Contentforce yet, so you have to use this one in pip. But for other packages, you can actually use directly using Contentforce. And then I copy the file. So here, this is all the Python scripts is under the pages folder, because when we build the web app, If you just have one single file, then you can run a single file. But if you have a bunch of files, you want to have a multi-page web app. Usually what you want is to put things in a directory, whatever name you like, and then just put all the files. Then you can start with a number. So the number is going to remove later. So if you see the web app here, when it's deployed, it's actually deployed. So now if you see the web app, it should be done, right? So you see here the home, leaf map, Gmap, something like that. So it's the same sequence as it shows here on this. Okay, so you're welcome to check those if you want. It's pretty straightforward and simple to use. So you need to have the Docker file, and also make sure that if you start from scratch, you probably would not have these two lines. If you duplicate, then you will see these two lines. And the very important one I want to highlight is this one, app port 8765. So this is the port number that we need also for the Docker file. So we expose this port number, and then we ask Hugging Face to execute, basically also expose in the host machine. So that's why you can see the web app. Otherwise, without this one, and also the README here, this one, your web app will not be accessible. So this is super important. You can remove this one if you want to, but this one definitely you need to keep. And this is the README file, and it's a YAML file. So it's a header. Don't remove this one, otherwise your app would not work, because this one tells Hugging Face that this is using a Docker file and it's building a Docker file. So don't remove this section. It's very important. So what you really want is to somehow modify the content, and also if you need to add any additional dependencies, you will add in here, or you add in the README file. Other than that, most of the other stuff you want to keep. Don't change it. You don't need to. Okay. And once you have this, now we can test it on a computer if you like. But certainly you will see now it's already up and running. So leaf map, you see, Gmap will not work because I didn't provide an API or access token. If you see the logs, you will be able to see what's wrong when you run this one. So because it doesn't have the credential, so it fails. And similarly for Mapbox, CGM, this will not work. If you have the API key, you're welcome to go to settings and then come here, repository secrets, and then click this one. Then you can save Earth Engine token. Then just copy the token here, Mapbox or CGM. But to save some time, I'm just going to use those without the API key. For example, the MapLibre. All right, so this one doesn't need API key. Again, you need to resize the browser so that you can see the full width. Also, open layers. It should also be free. IPyLeaflet, right? So now you have this actually up and running. It's because you duplicate my space. So now you can have this one under your account, and this is what is showing under the Hugging Face. If you want the direct link, go to this here and then click embed this space. So this is the direct URL. You can just copy this one, or you can open in a new tab. If you open using this way, this will look just like a website. So it doesn't show you the Hugging Face, the header in here. So this might look like a real website. If you send to somebody else, they probably won't know that this is hosting a Hugging Face. Except that if you know the URL, then you can pretty guess. But you can certainly embed this app on other websites so that your user don't know where it's actually being hosted, but it looks like a real website, right? And everything is interactive, so it's running using all the Python packages and also the environment. So next, I'm going to show you how you can make changes, and then you can add new apps to your to this demo. Okay, so once you're in Visual Studio Code, first you need to make sure that you install the packages. So I'm going to open the terminal, and then I'm going to just conda activate Geo. Okay, so if you haven't done this before, make sure you create a conda environment. Then I can just type pip install -u Solara, and then hit enter. If you use LeafMap or other packages, you also make sure that you install it. For this one, I'm just going to show you, assume that you already have other dependencies, and I'm going to install this one. So right now, the new latest version is 1.16.0. Okay. Once you have this, so the next step is decide how you want to run the app, because right now I have multiple pages in here. You can run a single page or multiple pages. So you can look at this line of command in here. So Solara run, and then if you just provide a folder, it's going to run all. It's a multi-page web app, but if you can run a single file, so let me show you how to run a single file. So Solara run, oops, and then you can type here pages. Okay, let's say I just want to run the first one, 01 leaf map, and then just hit enter. So this will open. Right now we are testing here on a local computer. So you see, it doesn't have the menu, like doesn't have this menu, because right now we are running just as a single web app. So it's a single page, not multi-page. You can add text or other stuff, but right now we're just very simple, just a map. So let's look at this one here, this file. So this is where you can make changes if you like. So this one we're using leaf map, Solara, and then add the change map function, but you don't have to. You can just use ipleaflet if you want to. So let me show you how we can create a new one, right? Assume that right now, okay, I can right click here, and then how about this new file, and you can create a empty one. So I would say demo, okay, .py under the root directory or whatever you like. So this is the demo. So next, let me show you how you get the example. Assume that if you look at the Solara webpage, and if you go to examples, then click here, ipleaflet. And this one you shows you basically the basic simple example. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can also change the slider, right? So let's look at the source code, view source code on GitHub, right? And this is pretty much it. It's very simple, ipleaflet, Solara, and then this is more basically the component. So when you are rendering this one using Python, it's going to look for the function called page, and then it's going to render the content within the page. So what we can do, you can just simply copy this one and then come back to Visual Studio Code. I can paste it in here and then Control S. Remove this one. And previously I run this app using the script that I have, but I can Control C to stop this one. So once we create this one, this script, we can run it. So you'll be Solara run, and then it will be demo.py, hit enter. Again, it's going to open this one on your browser. So this is the same app that you see on the Solara website here, right? This one. So you have the slider. If you change the slider, it's going to change it. And you can also move this one. And you can zoom in, you can zoom out. Pretty nice. So this is how you can create the app. And next I'm going to show you, for example, if you want to add some components, actually pretty easy. So you can, let's say you want to change the width, the height. So this one right now, this is the components. So what you want to do is you can add more components. So right now, this is kind of mixed using the Solara components, but you can also use directly using the leaf map or ipwidget if you want to. So this is basically using the map, and you need to use the element. Don't just directly use the map, because the element is where you can communicate between the front end and the back end. So whatever, when you zoom in, it's going to, if you change the zoom value, it's going to change the map zoom. But when you zoom the map, it's also going to change the value. So this is more like bi-directional. It's going to change things based on where you interact. And then at the bottom, it's going to pass in to create, show you the values. So this is exactly just like this. And very simple, right? You don't need to really spend a lot of time. And if you want, you can directly use leaf map. And so this is what we already installed leaf map. I can just simply change this one to leaf map, right? And then here, also leaf map. See, everything else remain the same. So Control S. And now if I open this one, you see, now this map is, it becomes using the leaf map rather than using ipleaflet. So let me put this side by side so they can see what it looks like. Oops. Right. So, and then you can think about what kind of things you want to, right? So earlier I showed you, you can add some of the, you can add components, you can add other stuff. So if you don't want, for example, if you don't want the slider at the top, you can actually remove all of this if you don't need them. So also at the bottom, right? Just Control Select and then hit Enter. So now this is gone. So but we still have this one. We can add other interactive stuff. So if you want, if there's anything that you want, then I can create a new class in here. So this is where you can really, because if you directly use this one, then when your map created, it's just going to use the default map. Sometimes if you build a web app, you want to add data, like built-in data, so that when the user open the app, it's not like empty map. You already have some data. So I'm going to show you how you can actually do that. What we can do here usually is to, I can create a new class, and then within a new class, we can initialize and then add data to it. So let me show you how I can do that. For example, assume that, okay, this is the OpenStreetMap, but I want to, when the user open the app, I want to use the open topo map. You can certainly do that. So what we can do here is to create a new class. So class name map and parentheses. Okay, it's pretty intelligent. So I'm using GitHub Copilot. So already, so knows like what I want to use, right? It's, I know it's read my mind. Open topo map. So it's going to underscore init, and then it's going to use the leaf maps because we're going to build on top of leaf map. So leaf map build on top of IPy leaf map. So we got building on top of leaf map, and then we're going to create leaf map using all the default parameters. Then we're going to add the base maps called open topo map, and that's it. We don't need this line, right? Control S. So the next step right now is still the OpenStreetMap because we haven't changed that. So now you need to remove leaf map and then just use map.element. So now what this one is doing is when you create a map and then using this map class, and it's going to create the leaf map and then it's going to add a base map. So look at the map on the left side. Let me Control S. See? So now the map is actually open topo map. And this is what I mean. You can build on top of leaf map and then you can do some customization. You can add things and then you can just directly use the new map class because the Solara only accept like one component. So you need to basically prepare everything in that component and then just passing the component. So this is what I would do. If you look at the example, for example, leaf map, it's the same thing, right? So this is the one I use for the example at the base map. Of course, if you use Gmap, you can do the same thing, create a map class, and then you can add a function, or you can, of course, you can add everything under the init class. But I separate it, for example, add data. So these are some of the data I want the user to use, and I create this function, and then when the map initialize, I'm going to add those data. For example, add the layer manager, add the inspector. So this is what I think I showed you earlier at the beginning, right? If you go to Gmap, I loaded a couple of data. I also add the layer control, also the inspector. So this is where this one is doing. So I create a new map class on top of Gmap, and then add a bunch of stuff, add a function, add data, and then I just use map.element. So in this way, you don't need to, of course, the Solara has a lot of component, but if you don't have time, if you already know IPy widget, you don't have to learn anything new. You can just use your IPy widget and you can write code to implement. So now I can make map really interactive with this. So let me go back to this demo, right? So here, this is what I want to show you, right? I have add base map. You can add other data if you want. You can open other, you can basically do all the things just directly right in here. I can add another base map. So when I map.add, you can add more components if you want. So base map. So this time I can use, for example, Esri, National Geographic World Data base map, right? So we can do in here, and this on and off. You can add as many data layer as you want. You can also add some widgets. So if you want to add some control buttons or anything, you can do that as well. So I can, for example, import iPad leaflet, and then from here I can and also iPad widget. So import iPad widget,